In this video, I am going to solve a problem, missing number. Problem statement is, given an array nums containing n distinct numbers in the range 0 to n, and we have to return only the number in the range that is missing from the array. So we are given with a nums array which is containing n distinct numbers, means the size of the array nums, and those n distinct numbers are present there, and which will be ranging from 0 to n. It means every element at a particular index will range from 0 to n, and whatever the number is missing from that range in the input array, that we have to return as the missing number from the array. So we can also see from the example. In the example, this particular array size is 3, and every element at every particular index, that element can range from 0 to 3. So here either it can be 0, it is 1, it is 3, and whatever the number from that range is missing in this input array, that we have to return. So here we can say 2 is missing here, so that we have to return. That is the output here. Again, in this example 2, we can see that the array size is 2, so elements can range from 0 to 2. It means the element can either be 0, 1, or it can be 2. So here 0 is present, 1 is present, again 2 is not present, so that is the number which we have to return as a missing number. In this example 3, the array size is which is 9, so here we can see that the numbers can range from 0 to 9. Now whatever the element is missing here, that will be the element which we will return. So here we can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, these elements are present, but 8 is not present, so we will have to return that 8. So these are the examples with which we can understand more about the problem, that what it is telling about and what it wants us to solve this particular problem. Now some constraints are also given, that this is the the n is the size of the array, and that can be from 1 to 10 power 4. It means 10,000 elements can be there, from 1 to 10,000 elements, and that any particular value in this nums array can range from, if the size of the array is n, so the value can range from 0 to n, and all the numbers in this particular array will be unique. So these are some of the constraints which are given here. Okay, so let's get into the approaches to solve this particular problem. So firstly, what are the things which we already know is that let's check the size of this particular array. This is the example I have taken from the problem statement, that is example 3. So firstly, let's check the size of this array. The size of this array is 9, and if we saw that whatever the size of the array is, if the size is n, so the values range from 0 to n. In this case the size is 9, so the range of value can be from 0 to 9. It means whatever the values are present at a particular indexes, they can range from 0 to 9. Either they can be 0, 1, 2, likewise till n. So here we can see that 0 is present, 1 is present here, 2 is present, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 is present, but 8 is not present. So we can say here that the missing number in this array is 8. So what we will do here, we will simply return this missing number, that is 8. So like we are simply making an explanation that what is this problem all about. So this is the scenario over here, that whatever the missing number will be there, we will have to return that. Now there can be some of the approaches like what can be the naive approach, or the simplest approach we can think of to solve this problem. So let's talk about the approach 1. So what we can do here, firstly, in order to solve the missing number, as we are given with this input array, so what we can do, see, we are already given with the range of some values. So like range from 0 to n, where n is the size of this array. So let's take this n here as 9, as the size is 9. So 0 to 9 will be the range of values. Now we have to find the one missing number which is from that range, which is not present in this input array. So what we can do is, we can simply take every number from this range, like firstly we took 0, then 1, then 2 till 9. We can take these elements, and for every element we will check in this input array that if that element is present or not. If the element is present, we will check for the next element. Otherwise we will obviously that element is then not present in that array, so we will simply return that particular element as a missing number. So what are the steps we are going to follow? Firstly, we will take a variable. Firstly we will take a variable. What the variable do? That variable will take a variable, and that variable will keep a track of the values from range 0 to n. Okay, firstly we will take a variable, and that particular variable will be keeping a track of all these particular values, like range from 0 to 8. So firstly it will take 0, then 1, then 2, likewise. Now what we will do, taking every element, let's say I have took I equal to 0. uh, I have taken a variable I and I have taken I equal to 0. So for every variable, what I will do, for every variable, okay, for every variable, what I'm going to do is take that variable. For every variable, check the sorry, you can say traverse the entire array and check if that okay, so I would say for every value here. Okay, so for every value we will take that value from this range, and we will check that if that particular value is present in the array or not. So this is the simple scenario we have to follow, where we will take every element and we will traverse in the entire array, if we and we will check if it is present or not. So if that value is present, then check for next element or next value. Otherwise what we will do, otherwise, see, if the value is present, then no problem, we will check for the next value. Otherwise, return means it is not present, so return that value as missing number. So this is the whole point of this approach. Every time take the value from range and then check in the or traverse in the entire array to check if it is present or not. If it is present, no problem, we will check for next element, because there will be one of the element which will be missing, and if we found that particular element which is not matching with any of the value in this input array, then that is our missing number and that we will return. So now let's get into the editor and code this particular approach. So firstly we will take the size of this nums inside our n. So this is the size we have taken. Now what we have to do is we will keep a track of these particular values, this range from 0 to 9. So for that I will keep a value, I will keep a variable which I will initialize with 0, and in every case I will increment it if I found that particular element as matching. Okay, that we will see further in this. Every time I will keep on increasing this particular value to check every time that if it is present or not. Now I will keep take a while loop here, and this particular loop will run till the point where I is less than equal to n, and the point where I goes beyond n, like in this case we have to check for 0 to 9. So when I becomes 10, and this loop will end it. So I am running the while loop here where I will be less than equal to n, because I have to check for every value in this array till the time we are not finding a particular value which is missing. Now here what I will do, I will keep a okay, so I will take a loop here, for loop, where I will take a j in order to traverse this array. So j less than n, and here j plus plus. So what I will do here, let's say I have taken I equal to 0, and I will be checking in this entire array. So what I will do, I will keep a condition that if this I is equal to nums of j. So I will check this particular condition, that whatever element I am having, if I found that element in this array, then what I will do. Now in that case, firstly I will have to keep a flag here, which I will set for every element when I am coming with a new element in I. So let's say now I is 0, so I have firstly set the flag as true. Now if any point of time I found that element is present in this array, then what I will do, I will make that flag as false, because I have found that element. I have found a element which is matching with that, with this I. So now what I will do after this, Also I have to, yes, as the element is matched, so I will not check for another elements because already I found that it is matched with the one of the element in the array. So here simply I will break from here. Now after coming out of this loop, I will also have to check once that what is the value of this flag. So if I found that this flag value is true right now, means I have set initially as true, and if it is matching, then I am making it false. So but if the false, this flag value is still true, it means what, that this particular I value is not matching with any of the array elements. So this is the this is the basic thing, that if this flag value is still true, it means it is not matched with any of the elements. So what I will do here, I will simply return this I from here, because that's what the point where I found that flag is still true, it means it is missing. So I will return directly from here. Now in case if I like, obviously if I am at I equal to 0, and if I see in this array that yes, I will be matched with any one of the element, this 0, because 0 is present, then in that case flag will become false. So here this condition goes false because flag is not true. And in that case what I will do, I will come here down, and I will I will increment this particular I for the next value to check. So now I will go for 1 to check. Then if 1 is found, I will go for 2 to check. And if any point of time, let's say when I come to the 8 value, and here this it will not found in the array, it will not be found in the array, so here flag will become true only. Okay, so in that case I will return that particular element. So this is the case. And we can see here that this particular function is a integer return type having the integer, so it will have to return a particular integer value. In that case, just to satisfy the compiler so that it do not give any undefined behavior, I will have to return something from here. Rather, no, this particular statement will not be executed in this particular problem, because there will be a missing number in every input array. So in one or the other case, this particular case will be this particular block will be executed. Okay, this particular return of I will be executed in one of the case. So this is all about this particular problem, sorry, this approach. So firstly, let's run this particular code. So here what I have to give, I have to provide the size of this array. So let me provide the size as 9 itself, and then let me give the values here: 96423, 96423, 5701, 5701. Okay, so now let me run this. Okay, so it is giving 8 as the missing number in this array. Now if we see the time complexity of this code, so the while loop is running from I equal to 0 to equal to n, so it means it is running for n plus 1 time. So let me write it here. Time complexity is n plus 1 in this case, and also we can see here that inside this particular loop, yes, this basically this is inside a loop. So what will be the case? Let me write. So inside this particular loop, this firstly this 0, it is running from 0 to n, so for n plus 1 time, and then inside this from 0 to n minus 1, so it is basically running for n time, so it will be into n. Okay, so the time complexity will be like n square plus 1. It is like n square plus n square plus n, so it will be basically n square only. Here we can see the time complexity is big O of n square, and for space complexity we can we know that we are not using any space, so space is constant only. The problem here is with time complexity that it is taking big O of n square time. So in order to come up with some better approach, we can reduce this particular time complexity. So let's get to the another approach which we can have to solve this problem in more better approach. So let me take this array again. Okay, so this is the array. Now what we can do here is initially we were going with a very basic approach, or we can say the very naive approach, in which we are taking every element and then finding for in the array that it is present or not. Now what we can do is that whatever the range we are given with, see the size of this particular array is, you already know that size is 9, so the values will range from 0 to 9. Now what we can do, that we are already having the range, that what are the all the number of elements are present, so we can simply take all those elements and sum up all those elements. And we are also having an array where we are having some elements, but that value is missing from that range, because all the values from that range are present in this array, but only one value is not present there. So what we can do is we can simply total, what we can do, we can total the values from range 0 to 9, and after having this total we can also sum of all the values in the input array. Okay, so whatever the input array we are given with, we can also sum up all those elements and then simply take the total, take that particular total and take the difference of this total and this sum. So you will come to know that whatever the total of that range from 0 to 9 and the sum of values from in this particular input array, when you take the difference, that element, that particular number will come, which is the missing number in this input array. So this is the second approach. Now let's get to the code part of this. So firstly, let me remove this particular code. So we are already having the size of this nums inside the n. Now what we will do is we will just take the total. We will just take the total of these numbers from 0 to n. So for 0 to n, we know that the total formula to find the total numbers formula from for 0 to n, it is n into n plus 1. Okay, so let me write n into n plus 1 divided by 2, n into n plus 1 divided by 2. This is the formula to find the total for 0 to n. And now what I will do, I will traverse in this array and find the sum of all these values. So for that, firstly I will take the sum variable int sum, and initially I have initialized it to 0, and now for int I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, and in this taking every nums of I and summing up. Okay, so this will be the sum, and now what I can do, I can simply return from here this difference of total minus sum. So whatever the number will come, that will be the missing number. Okay, so here I have taken the formula to find the total of all the elements from 0 to n, and then I have taken the sum of all the values in this input array. Okay, and then I will take the difference of both. So okay, firstly let me clear this and let me take this only, but instead of this, let's say I have taken 8 in this case, then 5 should come as missing. So yes, 5 is missing in this particular nums array. Now again, if we see the time complexity of this code, so the time complexity is in this, for this for loop we are visiting every element once. The time complexity will be big O of n in this case. Okay, so the time complexity is big O of n, and space complexity is again constant. Okay, so this is the time complexity and space complexity for this code. Now one thing is there which we have to see here, that if here we are using, if we see this particular constraint, okay, if I would be writing the code in this editor, so let me take the constraints here. The constraints are given that the size of this particular array can be from 1 to 10 power 4. It means 10 power 4 can be the maximum number of elements present here, maximum size, that is 10,000 elements I can see. Okay, so if I see here that I am using integer data type in order to for this particular variable. So if any value is coming, which is which we already know that the maximum integer value is 2 like 2 into 10 to the power 9 approx. Okay, so if we take a particular because if we see that constraint here is 10,000 elements, means 10 power 4 maximum. So if n value is let's say n is equal to 10 power 4 in this case, and let's say if it goes to 10 power 5, then in that case, in the worst case, if we see that this particular formula will come up with some greater value like corresponding to 10 power 10, then in that case this particular value will be this particular integer value will go beyond the maximum integer value. So in that case, the overflow may occur, means before division, before even performing the division, this particular value will be calculated, and in that case, it goes to 10 power 10, and which is beyond the maximum value of integer. So in that case, the overflow might happen. And if we consider that particular case, if the constraints are large, like in place of this 10 power 4, if it was 10 power 5 or 10 power 6, then in that case we will have to keep uh, checking here, like we will have to use long uh, data type in order to avoid this particular overflow problem. Okay, because the long data type, we know that it is having the maximum value of around 9 into 10 power 8 in 10 power 18, so that will not give the overflow error. Okay, so this is something which I want to tell here, mention here. We have seen the time complexity of this particular code. Now because of we can also see another approach in which we can solve this approach, and also this particular thing we can avoid that in order to take the data type for different constraints. So let's talk about one another approach. Now we have already seen that the approach to which we have solved, it is already solving this particular problem in the linear time complexity big O of n, but we can even see for another approach which is more better, we can see, with the same time complexity. So let me take this array again. So this is the array which I have taken, the input array. Now what we can do is I have analyzed that if we are having a particular input array and we have to find a missing number, then we are already given with the same thing we seen in previous approaches, that the 0 to n is the range of the values which can be present. Now in this particular range, what if we take all the values in this range, like in this case 0 to 9, so 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 and 9, and taking all these values and also taking these particular values from the input array, and if we perform the XOR operation between these. So firstly, let me tell you what is the XOR operation. What the XOR operation does is, in the XOR operation, if the same values are there, let's say A XOR A, then in that case, the result gets cancelled out. Like the result, not that this particular values, if this values are same, and if we are performing the XOR operation, in that case, these particular values gets cancelled out when we perform the XOR operation between both same elements. And if we perform the XOR between A and let's say 0, then in that case the same value comes, and if we can see here the value is A, so A is, and the same A will come here. So XOR is the operation which we can perform between between these particular, we can say, the parts of the values. Like firstly, we can take this range from 0 to n, like 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and then we can perform all this particular XOR firstly among these values in this particular range, and then we can also perform the XOR for the input array values. And when we perform the XOR of all these values combined, then what we will come to know, that the number, whatever the numbers are matching, it means let's say the 9 and 9 is matching, 1 and 1 is matching. So that's the point I'm talking about, that those values when gets XORed with each other, and they will get cancelled out, and if any XOR is performed between a number and a 0, then same number will come. So here I have already kept one. Okay, so let me firstly create it here. What we can do is, if we take 1 and we perform okay, so firstly take the values from range. So the 0 XOR 1 XOR 2 XOR 3 XOR 4 XOR 5 XOR 6 XOR 7 XOR 8 and XOR 9. So these are the range, these are the values from the range. If we perform the XOR between these and also take the XOR of the values from the input array. So what is the input array? This 9 XOR 6 XOR 4 6 XOR 4 XOR 2 XOR 3 XOR 5 XOR 7, okay, then XOR 0 and XOR 1. So now if we see in this particular uh, uh, this particular result, if we see the result of this XOR operations between all these elements, we can see here that 0 XOR 1 will be 1 from this particular case we have saw. Then 1 XOR 2, some value will come, and the XOR is performed like that. If we take the 1 in the binary, so 1 will be written like 0 1, and if we take 2 in binary, so it will be 1 0. Now if we perform XOR between these, so 0 1 will come as 1 and 1 0 will come as 1. Again, this is the particular case. Any value XOR with 0, that will be the same value. Where we can see the result is coming as 3. So the XOR of 1 and 2 will be 3. Then 3 XOR 3 will be 0, as the same elements cancelled out. So this is the XOR operation which we are performing. Now if we see on the broader point of view, then if we see that 1 is there, 1 is there, so same elements are there, it means same binary bits will be there. So 1 XOR 1 will be cancelled out, 2 XOR 2 will be cancelled out, 3 XOR 3 will be cancelled out, 4 XOR 4 will be cancelled out, 5 XOR 5 will be cancelled out, 6 XOR 6 will be cancelled out, 7 XOR 7 will be cancelled out, 8 XOR, so no any element is matching with 8. Now 9 XOR 9 will be cancelled out. Okay, 0 and 0, these all particular values will get cancelled out. Only the value which will be remaining is this 8. 8 will be the value which is remaining, because no any element is present which is matched with this 8. So after performing all the XOR operations, there will be one XOR variable which we will be maintaining, and that will be containing 8 at the end, which will be returned. Okay, so this is the missing element, and this is the approach which we are going to follow here. So now let's get into the code part of it, and let's try to code this particular approach. So firstly, I will take the nums.size inside this end, and after taking the size, what I will do, I will keep a XOR variable in which I will firstly initialize it with 0. So now firstly I will perform the XOR for all the elements ranging from 0 to n. So in this I will run a loop for I equal to 0, I less than equal to n, because I have to go from 0 to n, and then I plus plus. Here I will perform the XOR 1, this particular operation. So XOR 1 equal to XOR 1 of every element with I, and then I will perform the XOR operation for all the elements in the array. So for that, and j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus, and now I will again, whatever the value is coming in is at the end of this particular operations for the range 0 to n, that particular value I will take, and now again perform the XOR operation with all these elements. So it will be with nums of j. So it is a kind of the XOR of all the elements all together, which in the form which I have written here. So all the elements are XORed all together. Okay, so at the end, whatever the XOR will be containing the result, as a result, that particular value will be returned. So here we will return XOR 1. Okay, now let me firstly run this particular code. Okay, so it got accepted, and let me try to submit it. Okay, so yes, it is submitted, and now again if we see the time complexity of this code, so time complexity is for this particular loop, it is running for 0 to n, so it is n plus 1 time, and for this particular loop it is running from 0 to n. So again if we see the time complexity, the overall time complexity will be big O of n in this case. Big O of n is for n plus 1 time it is running in the first loop. For n plus 1 time it is running for the first loop, and in the second loop it is running for n, so it is kind of big O of n only. Okay, this is the time complexity in this code, and the space complexity, obviously it is constant only, because we are not at all using any extra space to solve this particular problem. So this is all about this problem. Now we can also think of that what is the both are the approaches, approach 1 and approach 2 are solving this particular problem in linear time complexity, and what's the point of using both. So the simple thing is that the approach 3 which we are using, it is I think more faster as compared to this approach 2, because we can see some of the things like we have already seen here that we want to use this particular long data type in order to for the longer constraints, and we cannot use integer in that case, so we will have to do this thing. in order to avoid the overflow error. And also, like addition division operations are there, so which might make this particular process slow. So in that case, the XOR operation will be uh, way better, because it is only performing the bitwise XOR. In that case, it is a kind of heap operation, we can say. So that's the basic difference between both the approaches. So it is the approach 3 might be somewhat faster as compared to the approach 2. That's all for this particular problem.